ba, ba. Yohina. Oh, Vimal. Does it say I can invite you, Vimal? Vimal, you need to make sure your phone's landscape. Oh, I can add him. It says add him, Vimal.
Hi.
Yo, Vim.
How you sound?
I'm good, thank you. Come on, mate. You need to set it up properly. We need to see your face. We need to see. Come on. This is a proper TV show.
I can see my face, can't you?
I can see it. I can see it now clearly. It's getting clearer. There
Clear on
you
my
go.
side.
How are you? Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to rock and roll. We've got people tuning in. People tuning in, Vimal. Just want to looking smart. Oh yeah, I'm looking smart. I know that. Vimal's looking smart as well. We're on the same
Yeah.
hairstyle, really. Vimal's got about 20 years on me
Shorter
hairstyle,
version of
which
it.
is how my hair. Yeah. Shorter version, but grayer. So me and Vim will probably end up in the same place at some point, Vim. Which
I'm
is a good
sure
thing,
we
right?
will.
So,
Of
just
course, of
before
course.
we start, can everyone hear us clearly? It seems clear on my end. Is it clear on your end, Vim?
Yeah, very clear. Touch wood.
Yeah, I can hear myself speak, but I can't find my headphones. I think
That's
I've lost them.
always an echo, isn't there? Do you want to?
No. I think the echo's okay. Can anyone else hear the echo? If you can comment. Oh yes, all clear. Pooja said all clear. Fine. Right. Let's get this show on the road, Vim. So, Vimal, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 questions for you, mate. 16.
Wow.
We'll probably add more in. We'll probably add more in there, but that's fine.
Okay.
But Vimal. So, guys, obviously you got your host, main man Sam Hanney, and then we have main man Vimal. Vimal is it the second longest server? It's joint at the top, ain't you, Vim?
Probably second. Sejo's first.
Sergio's first. Okay, so you're
Yeah,
second.
yes, and yeah.
Second. Oh, not too bad then. It's all right being second.
Sejo's done a few. She left and came back though, so but I've continued since
Oh, that's it. Just drop
2009.
that. Just drop that in there. We'll Sedgel was obviously second now. We'll just say Sedgel's second.
No.
Vimal's number one. So Vimal, just for the viewers, how long have you been a member of the studio?
Since 2009, April 2009. Hello?
Vimal,
Can you hear
you
me?
frozen?
No, I can hear you. April 2009.
April 2009.
Yeah.
When you say it like that, it seems phenomenal, doesn't it? 2009.
2009 it is.
Guys, if you got any questions for Vimal, we got a lag. Can you hear me now, Vim?
I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. That's fine. Just don't move, Vimal. Stay still as possible.
I am still as possible.
But if you got any questions for Vimal, right? Remember, Vimal's been a member since 2009. Now, if you lot watching this think he's not had any hardship or any emotional roller coasters or up and downs or any struggles or any point where he wanted to quit and not continue, persevere, trust me, this man's probably faced it all. Like, remember, if you think of it, a 10-year journey, it's nearly a decade. Think of that, right? And imagine in your own life, a decade. Imagine what you've probably been through, and Vimal's probably been through the same. But Vimal's obviously understood the importance of his health throughout the whole entire journey. But if you do have any questions on that, then let us know. But Vimal, I've got a question for you. So the first question is quite simple, really. Is what made you join UFIT?
What made me join UFIT? Well, I was in a commercial gym working out, and you guys were operating from that particular commercial gym. And at that time, I saw one of the classes taking place, and where I was doing my own workouts, I wasn't seeing any results. I wasn't feeling happy within myself. And what I saw, I felt, wow, this looks great and it's something what I want to do. So I still observed for 4 weeks and then approached you guys and just joined, just made a decision of joining. I was offered a 3-month membership, but I refused that. I said, if I take the 3 month, I know I'll not commit. So I'm just going to pay and I'm just going to join because I need this in my time at that moment. I was going through a very emotional roller coaster time, 2009. I just lost both my parents, gone through a messy divorce, and was kind of finding myself, wanted to find myself again and bring myself back to life because I was just feeling lost. And I felt this would, having a personal coach, having a personal trainer, being fit because I was stress eating a lot, put on a lot of weight. So I thought, let's do this.
Remember,
Let's get
you had
some
this big
exercise
moustache,
routine.
you had this,
And I had my
you had this
tash as well at that time.
big moustache.
Big moustache, big face, big belly, you name it, we had it.
The interesting thing is a lot of things, obviously a decade can change, Vimal, but like you probably look younger now than you did a decade ago, right?
Yeah, so I get told by.
Um, or do you? I
Sorry,
think
say
you
that again.
freeze them. It's not me, it's you.
I'm clear on this side, not freezing at all. You're the one who's going brrr.
That's because I probably talk too much. In terms of obviously that, Vimal, obviously that was for yourself then probably a turning point, right? In terms of
Yeah.
taking a stance and taking a change. Obviously, you've been obviously like you mentioned, you went through a divorce, you went through obviously your family situations and stuff. But obviously, that moment in time, you just thought you needed a different direction.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is though, is that step, that big step is quite a challenging step mentally though, right?
Yeah,
Because
it
what
was.
made you not like what was the turning point for you to not just continue down the path you was on?
I wasn't seeing results. I just wasn't seeing any change in my body. I wasn't seeing any change within myself. I was enjoying what I was doing because I was working out with a very close friend. We were doing exercises together, but I just personally wasn't getting any satisfaction, any motivation, or any drive to come to the gym. So I thought, for me, I had read about having a personal trainer. I thought I need a lifestyle, something alongside myself back on track. And I'd wanted to do something for myself, so that was it. I just thought I have to make a decision, and I need to. All I was doing was just working throughout the day. You just spend your time working, working. There was no outside activity. There was no other activity. I thought if I commit myself to some sort of training and going to a gym, working out, I'll have an activity. I'll make friends. I was looking at all sorts of things as well. But my main thing was having a more fitter toned body. That was my first goal.
Nice, because obviously, like you mentioned, sometimes you need the accountability. But the interesting thing is when you started, the actual service that you probably received probably wasn't even nowhere near the same as it is now, though, right? Because ultimately, I can remember what
That's
we did.
right.
But ultimately, we just trained. See you later, Vimal. Train. See you later, Vimal. Train. See you later, Vimal. And you look at your food a little bit, and
Yeah.
you obviously get track measurements, but it's probably not nowhere near the same as it is now, is it?
We were doing food journals then. I used to sit down with you, go through the food journals, but it was like on a weekly basis, just hand it over to you in the gym.
I'm glad you can
And
remember that, Vin.
yes, I do. We did do the food journals. I think it was training sessions twice a week we were having. I was on the twice a week membership at that time, and I remember clearly saying that I want to start from a basic level because I've never done training before, so I'm not going to rush this. It is going to be a journey, but I want it to sustain rather than just do a quick fix, which is what I didn't want. I didn't want a quick fix.
Yeah. And obviously, sometimes well, what people probably don't know, obviously, there's a lot of stigma around vegetarians, and obviously vegetarian this and vegetarian that, and it's you can't lose weight when you're a vegetarian. But I'm going to be honest, probably at the start of your journey, how did you find it being a vegetarian? Did you find it challenging? Because obviously, I can appreciate where I was. For those of you who don't really recognize where I was, if you can imagine where I'm starting at the start of my career, and obviously my knowledge point at that time was okay, but it probably wasn't. It's nowhere near the level of what it is now. But in terms of yourself, Vimal, how did you find obviously being a vegetarian and obviously starting that journey?
Yes, it was very challenging because obviously we were told that protein, protein was a very important aspect, and I was searching for protein foods. I think we both worked on it very well together, but it did take us a long time. Obviously, I was eating eggs then. I'm not now, but I was eating eggs then, so I started eating eggs. Part of my diet. I had to stopped eating chapatis, stopped eating all the carbohydrate-rich foods, just concentrated on the lentils and pulses and vegetables. I think I increased my vegetable intake, which really, really helped in the beginning journey. Vegetable intake was increased. The balance was there with protein. It was a lot about food research that I had to do myself, but I think I had your guide as well, which really helped to work on it. I think we went through a long. It wasn't straight away. It took us a good few years to get the food right.
Yeah, I probably agree with that, right? It's obviously,
Yeah.
um, and this is probably a challenge for most people, right? Because in essence, you think about food just being easy, like you just implement it and that's it. But the challenge, what you have is the education behind it, but it's the consistency of applying it, which is the most challenging, right? Because you got to apply what you learn, implement it, keep it consistent for a period of time, see if it works, then change it, but then keep that perseverance to keep changing it, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, being a vegetarian, that can perceived challenging, right? When you compare it, like I can have a chicken breast, for example, and some vegetables. For yourself, it's not that logical, right?
Mm.
So that's why it requires a lot of, like you just mentioned to yourself, a lot of your own personal development towards food, right?
Yeah, I think also it was that I had to set my mindset to stop eating sandwiches, because for me my go-to foods were a cheese plowman sandwich, a packet of crisps, and a can of Coke at lunchtime. That was the go-to food, which was in the car, being my job. But then the other aspect was breakfast was also very rich, normal kind of toasts, and all the typical vegetarian breakfast that you have, like the toast and the I'd never eaten Linda McCartney sausage in my life before, so it was all a new concept. All that was very new to me, so it took some time to get used to. Um, my go-to food was also a jacket potato quite constantly, and then the typical Indian meal was there as well in the evenings. But I would say, never had a big portion appetite. So portion control was very important, but my portions were not that massive when I was eating. But I think it was the wrong junk food that I was eating, like pizzas and all that. That probably a lot more stress eating as well, I think, was in my um, in part of my appetite. A lot of stress eating was there. And you did mention that what was the main thing that was turning around. I had made a promise to my mom that I'll lose weight before she left us. She had one thing before when she was going in her illness. She did say, you need to look after your health now, Vimal. I think there's something you need to do to make sure that you get back on track, because we don't want you to have a heart problems or diabetes or cholesterol or etc. I was borderline cholesterol before I joined UFIT.
Yeah, and I think I think that touches on to something that we'll come into later about obviously leverage, but also promises, right? And obviously when you promise a close, when you, obviously you're promising your mum, right? Which is obviously a person very close to you, but also you can also understand when someone goes through a bit of goes through that process of passing away, for example. It actually can you can there's two ways to look at it, right? You can either kid yourself that you're okay, or actually look at yourself in the mirror and like you did, and actually made that stepping stone to actually look at yourself and actually work on yourself, right? Because the thing is, this is what I want really people to appreciate is you've worked on yourself. And it's not 6 months, it's not a year, it's 10 years, man. 10 years is a long time, right?
Yeah.
But if you look how long you've been, I don't know, call it maintenance, call it learning about nutrition more, learning about your level of training, learning about that, for example. That's probably been for the last 5 years. I think the
Yeah.
first 5 years, for example, was you continuing to understand your emotionals, like you said about food, understanding the emotional triggers, understanding what food does to you, understanding why you do what you do, right? Because again, remember,
Yes.
there's the big part of a transformation is about self development. I'd agree with, but also understanding the reasons why we do things, which is a lot of times people say, I had a client yesterday, oh, I don't know why I eat junk food. Well, there must be a reason, right? You can't just say, I don't know. And it's that understanding what you got to get to. You got to get to that deeper understanding of why you do things, because fundamentally we don't do things that we don't like doing. We do things because we perceive value in it, so therefore we do it. And that's something you've been on the journey of, which is
Yeah.
incredible to see, right? In terms of obviously you at the beginning with your nutrition, how did we do it? How did we do it? How did we start? So, like, if a vegetarian's watching this now, for example, what would you like your advice be to them to just start there? Obviously, understanding their nutrition from maybe a portion perspective or what foods to have.
I think if I remember correctly, what we did was we started breaking habits. You know, I had a lot of bad habits, so we worked on breaking each habit at a time. For example, um, remove the cheese and ploughman sandwich, but add in cress. You know, we started working in that way, if I remember correctly. Remove jacket potato every day to once a week, and add more nutritious food. So obviously, then I started eating porridge in the morning. I think porridge came in a lot later. Beforehand, it was just a protein shake. You put me straight onto the sausages and steamed vegetables with hummus. There was a lot of playing around control. But one thing I did change straight away was I didn't eat chapatis for 2 years constantly. At least 2 years, I didn't eat any chapatis besides just when I'm out, like once a week. But from a
That
daily basis, it's
that out with the boys went, weren't them? Out with the
yeah,
boys.
yeah, out with the boys, out with the boys on a Friday night. So, or if I'm going to somebody's house for a meal, like my family house or whatever. But otherwise, from a home perspective, my food became to like a portion of kidney beans or a portion of a pulse, two portions of vegetables. It could be cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower. I think I've gone through lots and lots of broccoli in my journey, which has put me off broccoli, but I still have it. But yes, so these are the kind of things I think we said green food, start with green food, start with vegetables. We did a lot of maneuvering with what carbohydrates I could have. Um, but I did eat rice and chapatis for a good 2 years, and I just stayed on the pulses and the vegetables. And I did see results straight away. I'm not saying I didn't. Within 4 or 5 weeks, I started losing weight, but not to what I wanted. But I could see the difference. I think we were working on the training. So the food, I think for vegetarians, what one must understand is, first of all, identify the foods, then look at portions. But I had to work with my portion sizes still quite a bit because I was remembering doing photographs for you and sending your pictures and getting the journal right. You know, getting the journal right was in the portion, you know, like getting the carbohydrate portion, the fat portion, and the protein portion. That's the first thing. Making sure everything is on your plate, a portion of fat, a portion of carbohydrate, and a portion of protein. And protein was the highest amount we went for. But the vegetables I was still counting as my carbs, as a
Yeah.
carb source, because I'm vegetarian. So for me, sweet potato was introduced from a roast potato to a sweet potato. There was things like this that we worked on, but I specifically worked on the vegetarian side with the pulses and the lentils.
The biggest thing, what you probably not mentioned, Vimal, is you mentioned about a food journal, right? And
Mm.
for example, tell the viewers, how long did you do a food journal for religiously?
So the first religious food journal was the written food journal, which we did for a good number of years. I would say 2, 3 years continuously, 4 years.
Yeah,
Then
right.
we went on to Fitness Pal,
So,
which
guys,
was
just to listen to this, right? So, remember, if you want to lose weight, for example, or get healthy, whatever you class it, any goal in life, right? Unfortunately, sometimes you've got to do the work that is uncomfortable. Now, imagine doing a food journal for 52 weeks a year, but 3 years running. That is a lot of work, right? Now, some of you may be ready for that work, some of you may not. But just ask yourself, if you can't be asked to do a food journal, then can you be asked to lose weight? Because a food journal is the most important part, right? In essence, because you got to look at your own behaviors, you got to look at your own, you look at what your trigger foods are. You got to be honest with yourself. It's one of the first things that, if you actually want to mirror image yourself, look at your food, because when you put down truthfully what you're eating, you really understand what mirror you're looking at, and then you can make a choice whether you want to deal with that mirror or you don't. But a food journal, in Vimal's case, is for 3 years, and yeah, we did go on MyFitnessPal eventually, but I don't think MyFitnessPal was out back then, was it?
I think we went on Fitness about 2013, 2012, 2013 initially.
Yeah,
And
but
then
even that took some time as well, didn't it?
yeah. So that's what I was saying. The Fitness File first was just I was doing foods from there, and then I went through a phase where you thought, obviously, you want. One thing I must say to everybody listening is, I think, hand yourself over to your coach. Have the total faith in your coach. Listen to the coach. Put trust in the coach. You know, I didn't have a habit of questioning you. You said to me for 4 weeks, eat two quinoa burgers or two protein burgers and just chickpeas or a veg, and I did that constantly for 2 weeks. You know, we just had burgers, and because we were trying to research on a lot on the food. I remember you printing out things for me on the pulses, on the guidance of the pulses, how much is 100 grams contained from a protein
Yeah.
source. We wanted to get the macros. But before we could get to the macro side of things, we worked on food portion control a lot. And the portion control came in when you introduced the Joseph and Joseph cups to me. And I think that was my trigger. That was my turning point, having those Joseph and Joseph cups. And they're still with me. They go everywhere and they're in my head now, whatever. It's just there. It's part of life. And then we turned the FitnessPal into macros. And I created recipes on MyFitnessPal for all my curries that I had, and all the ingredients that I used. So we created a lot of recipes, and I remember doing 2 Sunday afternoons of just writing recipes on MyFitnessPal to all the curries that I had for my Indian food. So name it a cabbage curry, name it a cauliflower peas curry, name it chapatis, name it brown rice, the pulse portions, and I made weekly portions of 4 to 5 of each, and then had my food around that. And I think I
That's
did
it,
that for
guys. Remember
constant
that?
4, 5 years, I would say at least. Or 3 years, 4 years of food fitness pal.
Yeah, of course, right? Obviously, the effort to put Indian recipes on, right, is a phenomenal one. And funny enough, I was speaking to a client on Friday about it. I said she didn't understand. People still don't understand that you can put your own recipes on MyFitnessPal, right? But from a vegetarian perspective, it's probably a massive thing, especially in Indian background, right? Because obviously your curries are very traditional made. Also, but you want to know, it's very, if you don't measure it, you don't know what you're doing, if that makes sense. You don't know how much quantity of this and this and this. But actually, MyFitnessPal allows you to really understand that, and then obviously then serve a relatively portion size to yourself that is needed. But I think obviously, if everyone's listening, look, imagine doing 2 Sundays or a whole weekend of just putting recipes on MyFitnessPal. That sounds
That's
like a
fun.
challenge in itself.
Um,
Of course.
yeah, and I think what
So
it was,
let's
again, it
fast
was
forward then,
getting the
Vim, because
recipes
obviously,
right as well.
yes, definitely.
Yeah,
If you don't get the recipes right, or um, again, put things on there that you like, not what other people like, right? To some degree.
yeah.
But if I ask you this then, so when did we let's fast forward now because we can fast forward quite far in your journey. When was your lean out phase? When was that?
3, 4 years ago,
3, 4 years ago.
4, 5 years. It took us it took
So
one
guys,
year to lean out, didn't it? It took us good 10 months to lean out. We went through a whole phase. Remember, it was for preparing for my niece's wedding where I wanted to lean out, and yeah. So we did a good solid 9 months lean out phase, I think, if I remember correctly.
of course, and obviously through that period as well, if you take where you are now after that photo shooting, where you are now, you're a hell of a lot stronger, right?
Yeah.
In terms of obviously over the course, so if we fast forward to where we are now, Vim, from over the 10 years, what would you say? Like, there's a question here, for example. Um, where is it? What's been your number one thing to keep going?
My number one thing to keep me going is, I think, the fact that I did realize that you have to love yourself. And the more you love yourself, the more you want to do things for yourself, the more you want to make time for yourself. And the other one thing that's kept me going is, once you start seeing a result and your confidence levels increase and you see a turning point in your life, you want to make sure that that journey continues because you're seeing constant involvement, constant development within yourself. Whether, I mean, for me, my confidence levels were very, very down, and I'm not ashamed to talk about that because I could see the difference in levels of working. My It's not that my employers were not happy with my work; they were very happy with what I was doing, but the amount of confidence that increased once I started doing things for myself, once I started training, getting the weight loss journey, that is what is keeping me going. It's that leverage point that I've achieved this. I'm very proud of it, and I don't want to. And it's part of my lifestyle. So why should I stop it? It's just life now, right? I'm not
Yeah, it's
saying that
interesting.
I have to be sort of constantly on food because now I've got to a stage where I can eat and I can indulge. Well, I've had a very indulging week because I've been away on a holiday, but that doesn't mean that it stopped me from doing what I want to do and at the training and be what I want to do. I think it should be that it's that within you that you have to find that yourself within yourself to see what you can do for yourself. And the more you love yourself and the more you appreciate yourself in what you've done, it will keep you going. You have to look at the positive in everything. You have to have this flipped nature. Even if something is negative, you have to turn that into a positive, and that's what I've turned around doing a lot in my life, and that's what's kept me going. If it's having that motivation and drive within yourself to make
I think
it a lifestyle is what I'm saying. Make it a lifestyle. Don't make
the
it.
thing is,
Don't call it nutrition. Don't call it diet. Don't call it exercise. It's lifestyle.
yeah, I read a quote here, Vim, which is probably what you've reiterated. Really, is use your body to develop your mind. And I think the thing is, for example, if you use your body, and this is where, like, when you use your body, you when you're training, for example, and it's hard, but you come out on the other side of it. Guess what? You've grown. You put yourself in tough situations with your body. Guess what? You've grown, and you can use your body very cleverly to improve your mind, because obviously your body can the body's an amazing thing, right? You can show, like your journey, if you go from the start to where you are now, it's an amazing journey, not physically, right? But that physical journey is actually aided your mental journey,
Yeah,
right? That's the phenomenon of it, which is something to consider, guys, if you really want to push yourself in the gym. But in terms of obviously now, Vimo, obviously you mentioned obviously now in essence you don't really track food, right? You don't really write it down. We don't track on MyFitnessPal. We don't do any of that now, do we?
no, it's just my head and my own portion control that I've developed. I still when I'm cooking, I still have a habit of using the cups, but it's not even. I know what I've measured out. If I'm out, I know what I need to have from a portion balance point of view, and I've not tracked food for a good 2, 3 years now.
Yeah, phenomenal, right? So therefore, for example, from your perspective, and your weight's relatively stays stable, right? In comparison, obviously, sometimes when you go away, it goes up. Granted, but
Yeah,
in reality, you know your sweet spot. You know where to pull it back down to. You know how to get
yeah,
rebalanced. You know how. Obviously, one of the
yeah,
biggest things for you is you're very quick to get back on the training. So if you want to talk about habits, it's like there's never a low point with you, because ultimately you get back into routine really quickly
yeah,
after being away.
yeah,
But also during lockdown, for example, you've kept that routine up. And
definitely.
you could probably share about lockdown in a minute, about how you've obviously managed to keep training, because I know we've had conversations where you're like, Sam, I've not been really bothered, can't be bothered to do it, but you've pushed yourself to do it, and I think that comes
Yes,
back down to that mindset. By pushing yourself to do it, it's the mindset that grows with it, right? Um,
absolutely.
but in terms of yourself, how would you say lockdown has been for you then? What would you think the big learning curves for you? Because obviously people watching this, right? Bimal lives on his own.
Yeah,
So if you can appreciate that, I know some of you are on your own, but if you can appreciate living on your own, it's a different ball game to, i.e., me, for example, where I have Danny and Noel. And living on your own is actually, you can be in your own head a lot more than actually you realize. But how are you found lockdown for yourself, then, man? What's been your thing to keep going, keep applying yourself? And I know you've been working really well as well. So how would you describe the whole thing?
so obviously with lockdown, obviously my work routine hadn't changed. We were working from home, for me it was a normal routine, waking up in the morning, going. What I did instill with the lockdown was started walking out, going for walks in the morning when I could, early morning walks, because that was to get the fresh air in the morning, because otherwise there was a day sometimes with work being busy, you couldn't get out during the day, or you couldn't get out during the evening because of the weather. But yeah, I used to go for early morning walks. I had kept the same routine. We had a 9 o'clock work meeting, carry on working, lunchtime, take 15, 20 minutes out. Um, but making sure I committed myself to the online sessions. For me, that's the way I kept training going from what UFit Studio had organized. And I booked myself in well in advance that according to my schedule, what I'm going to do this week. So I think it was all about planning ahead to make sure that I get my 5 training sessions that I used to do in the gym in lockdown as well. So originally, I hadn't thought that you were going to do this, like the online session. So I had planned at the units. I had already looked into the units that you've put on into the Insider. That I'll do the unit section. And I'll do my own workouts. But that would have been. I'm not saying easy. That would have been challenging because sometimes not have that motivation. But having online sessions was that motivation because I wanted to do it on the time of the live session because again that makes it that you are doing a live workout and you're doing it there and then. So that kept me going. But I think it was all about again it's just coming to that lifestyle, isn't it? That I need to work out today. It's my lifestyle. So there were times when I couldn't because of there was work commitments. Then I would go on the play back and schedule the workouts in. But I think it was all about scheduling your workout and having a routine, morning routine. I think we did the UFIT members challenge, which I joined in to support, because I knew that would keep me in a routine as well, having a morning routine and having an evening routine, supporting the community. So that was a good stepping stone for me again to those to do the question and answer sessions that you had, like the morning routine questions and the evening routine questions. I had never done that before because I hadn't done any of the D2S challenges or D1S challenges. So for me, that was a new thing, which I did this year.
Nice.
I think it's all about just, for me, it's just like a lifestyle. Make it a lifestyle. Don't, yes, I remember telling you that, oh, I'm very tired. I don't want to work out today. But it's just getting that, like how I've walked into the UFIT door. I just thought, right, you need to walk into that camera and just get on with it. Just connect everything and just get into it. And once you do a live session, it's much better because you've got the coach there, you've got other members there. I teamed up with Pooja Rana, and we made sure we do them at the same time so that we've got company while we're on the Zoom because we're doing the exercises. So it's working within yourself. Try and find a buddy in the gym, and that's what I did before as well, and I did that here as well.
Oh, nice. There you go. Then. So having a good buddy network is obviously always good, isn't it? Because there's a thing, isn't it? There's a thing about not letting someone else down. It's quite a powerful thing, right? If you have that
Yeah,
value,
yeah.
it's quite a powerful thing not to let someone else down. So there you go.
Yeah.
In terms of yeah, moving forward, then, Vim, I've got another question for you. Um, what has kept you at UFit for this amount of time? So I mean, remember, like I said, 10 years is a long time. But remember, guys, when I say 10 years, if you want to put it into a monetary value, right? We're not talking £10 a month, right? We're not talking £20 a month. We're talking. I remember Vim out at the start spending £400 a month, right? We're talking a massive chunk of investment. I'd probably say it's probably on the 15, 20 grand Vim out over the 10 years.
Hello? Yeah, possibly.
Possibly,
Possibly.
right?
With and
Um,
then more. Yeah.
yeah, more, right? Trust me, there's different avenues and more, right? But for example, so you got to appreciate there's an element of Vimal that you got to understand, guys, that from a lifestyle perspective, he's committed. And he committed. Don't get me wrong, he'll tell us why he committed, but there'll be other reasons why he's committed. Like, remember, 10 years is a long time, and putting that investment into yourself. I think he mentioned right at the start that you got to invest in yourself. You got to see it as, you know what, when he started this journey, it's about him looking after himself and actually putting himself first once in his life, which is a massive commitment. Majority of people we can probably vouch for that we don't really look after ourselves. We put ourselves at the bottom of the list. But in terms of yourself, Emma, what's kept you coming back for 10 years, regardless of the decorations?
No, I just think genuinely, Sam, obviously, people have to understand how much you invest in your clients as well and what you do for clients. I remember a time where how much the research you did regarding the vegetarian food. I mean, I didn't know anything about Fitness Pal. You introduced me to that. I didn't know anything about portion control. You introduced me to it. I didn't know about a lot of things. I think it's having that faith. It's having that faith in the studio, having that faith in that place, working with you. I just think having a life coach in which is in my life has helped in a lot of number of ways, whether it's in the professional environment, whether it's in my physical environment, or whether it's in the mental state. I think it covers everything. And for me, UFit Studio is another home. And as I said to you, it's an investment that I've made in myself and in my life. Rather than having, I thought of many things, like people want to buy more houses. I didn't want to buy a house, another house. I wasn't interested. I was interested in having an investment for myself. So for me, this is that investment that I've made, and I know I can go into a gym now and probably do the workouts that we do, but I'm still saying I don't think I will do it to the full because of not having a person like yourself with me who trains me and motivates me and drives me. But it's not impossible. You can do it. I mean, I've learned a lot of things now, even in lockdown, that what you do and what you not do with exercises. Um, for crying out loud, I didn't have any weights initially, so I was training with a can of beans, but I was having that stress on that beans to make sure that it pulls and the resistance. So that's just an example. I'm saying that there's a lot of learning that you put in within yourself, but it's why go and do something different when you're happy doing something and you're getting results, you're getting happiness. For me, this is happiness. Again, it's part of my life. It's the happiness that I get being with UFit Studio. It's the happiness and the mental peace, and I can see motivation in it. I can see persistence from yourself. Um, it's a two-way journey. I think it's, for me now, it's a two-way journey. If I don't still put in, if I don't show interest, I don't, it doesn't work that way. You have to have that. You can only take the horse to the water. The horse has to sort of bend to drink the water. So for me, that
I
investment
thought,
that I've made in
I thought
so,
that's,
this
I
is the
thought
other
that's
way
a cow
around.
then. Is it not the cow?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's the horse. For me, it's the horse. Yeah. So I think in one sentence, I think it's UFit Studio has been the place where it's changed my life. So I want it to be part of my life now.
Oh, don't worry about that, but we ain't going nowhere yet.
From a financial perspective, people can look at it as an investment for themselves within themselves, and it will work out. You can make it work. You can make it
Yeah, because the
work.
interesting thing is on this demo as well. The good thing about this as well, obviously, there's a part of your journey. I think it was what might be, obviously time flies so fast for them. So, what was it? Was it about what 18 months ago, 2 years ago that you got you obviously took redundancy as well? Because obviously this for
Yeah.
some people going through this now it's quite an eye opener or being shocked to it. But for example, how would you say that looking after your health and keeping that lifestyle and that mental challenge going, obviously looking after yourself, how do you think that helped you when you obviously went through that May redundancy and things like that?
Yeah, I can compare it to
Because
the
you had
redundancy I did first time round in 2002. It was very difficult. But this time when the redundancy came, I'm not saying it was easy, but I genuinely felt more confident that, no, I need to put myself out there. I hadn't gone for another job for 16 years. So that's a long time. I had my first interview since made redundant in April 2018 when I got the new job. But yeah, 16 years without having interviews. So again, I think it's the confidence that I had within my journey that helped me go through that journey as well of being redundant for 3 months, if that, because I got, we managed to, hopefully things got sorted. But again, on that, when I was working, when I was at home being redundant, I made sure I had a routine. I was going for morning walks. Instead of half an hour, I did 45-minute walks, get fresh air, then come back home, switch my computer on, get onto the agency straight away, just make sure I'm out there looking for the right vacancy, putting interviews in and booking interviews, just keeping myself busy. But again, making sure I have my workout schedule done, everything done. So that having a routine definitely helped me and be more mentally stronger as well when I'm going out there. In fact, I did look, well, it's my interview, the assessment center, the job interview wanted me to talk about my passion, and I talked about my journey at UFIT. And that's what really threw them all over, that, that drive. And I was told that's one of the reasons why I got the job, for my passion.
But it's interesting going back to that then. So if you go back to the 2002 mark to where you were in your last redundancy, the interesting thing is obviously people can see you. You guys, if you're not seeing a picture of Vimal, I'll probably post one up. But if you imagine that person to this person, like we said about your vehicle, your body being your vehicle of increasing confidence, and then obviously coming to obviously that redundancy, but then obviously the confidence you generate in yourself just because of the way you felt. Remember, the interesting thing is the body, how you feel is a massive indication to confidence, right? If you go
Yeah,
through and you've lost weight and you feel good, put a suit on, you put a shirt on, you feel good, naturally you feel unstoppable, right? But the
yeah,
interesting thing is with that as well, like you just mentioned, going to a job interview and talk about yourself, but then I think I remember you showing me the presentation, showing me your presentation of obviously personal development. That's powerful, right? Because they understand that when you're committed to something, you finish it with the highest marks for yourself. So showing your journey of weight loss, for example, a job interview, or the interview part of the job is phenomenal, because then they understand the person they're dealing with. They understand they're dealing with a person that says they does what they said they would do. They understand a person that has got resilience when it's hard, or when the struggle kicks in, he'll find a solution. Right, that's what your journey shows. It's really bizarre, but a health journey and a physical journey can show so much to other people. Um, and when you articulate and talk about your journey, they really understand it. Remember, because sometimes a before and after picture doesn't, it's powerful. There's no content to it. There's no context to it. No one really knows what happened, right? Or how much of a struggle it was. But for you to show that in your job interview, that must have been a very powerful thing for them to see, right? I
yes,
can
yeah.
imagine.
powerful
To be
thing for me
proud.
to do actually, because I learned a lot about myself again. It gave me that whole journey flashback, which really helped me carry on as well. So, you do tend to put things behind. I mean, I forgot to mention one thing. I think it's the amount of cortisol that I had built up with the stress hormone. That is still, that take a long time to get rid of. I remember you telling me that part of my journey, the main problem was the amount of stress hormone that I had built up within myself. It wasn't just the food, it was the stress hormone. And I think
Or the stress you carried,
now,
right?
yeah, if I look about it now, how you do things and compared to that time, you bring headspace into it, you bring so much into that, which was very important, which was that missing link we had a few years back. But that
Yeah.
involvement within your journey has helped a lot more clients quicker, I would say, to go through that process. And you yourself have told me this. You've in fact apologized that it's taken long, and I said there's no need to apologize because we worked on it, and I was still finding it very motivating with the studio throughout the 10 years and more.
There you go. So, next Vimal, here's a question for you. I think this is from Helen. um, how has Sam changed over the years that you've known him? I was a baby when I met you.
Yeah, Sam was no, you were still very even at that time when you was coming straight from work. You were at the building site. You come in, you go into your training mode. You could see your facial expression change. Right, you're in training mode, and you killed us. Your training from day one was for me, especially. I found it very very challenging at first, but the motivation was always there with you. The amount of growth you've gone through in the last 10 years is phenomenal, and I've always said that to you. It's very inspiring because you've actually changed yourself even more, Sam. You've done a lot of things. You've gone out there and done a lot of education. You've done a lot of self motivation, self direction. Won an award as the best coach. There's so much in your journey that we've been part of, and it's that growth you've had which has not only changed people's lives but people's way of thinking within yourself, and it's just amazing. So you have changed and grown a lot. Pat yourself on the back.
I give myself,
And you
I
and
give
you know
myself a
you've
pat on the
done
back there.
that. And you know you've done that. So
Trust me. I think it's like I
and it's
said. I
not
think
and
even
I would like to say that it's not been an easy ride for you as well. It has been a journey, and I've seen that journey, and it's very
that's a
very
good part, isn't it? You've seen the journey as well. That's quite
journey from beginning to the and
not the end yet. Then not the end yet. Right,
no
Vim.
no far from it.
Here's another question for you. How has the studio changed from when you was there to now? What, like, for example, I know, like I said to you before, I know equipment's changed, I know that's changed, but what do you think really is been the test of time? What do you think really helps the studio become what it's become?
I think it's the team, definitely the team. You've got a very, very good team who supports you, but I think it's your dedication to the gym. I mean, you're there at 6:30 in the morning and leaving at 9:30 at night sometimes, well, almost every day. And you go there on a Saturday, you go there on a Sunday. You try and find, you've done a lot of changes to the studio. No, it's not just about equipment, and it's not just about having this fancy equipment. I think it's more about the the think that goes behind it. What shall we do differently? How shall we change our programs? What shall we evolve? What shall we bring in something new from the Met classes? You brought them back again. They were off of the thing, and I think that's the best thing, having the Met classes on the floor again, because it's you do the idea and the concept of the challenges, which has made people join the gym for let's say just a trial and test it out, and then they've become members.
Yeah.
So it's that concepts that you've brought in that's changed. I think having a family environment for me is the most important thing. I think it's you get a hello when you're walking, you get a bye when you walk out. Your coaches are always there. I mean, I do some of my training sessions on my own now, as you know. I do one training session with you a week, and the rest of the time on my own. But I don't feel that I'm on my own because your eyes are still on us, which is what I like about it. I know somebody's watching over me, which gives you. I'm in my own zone, as you know, when I'm training, but I still know that I can come to any one of the coaches and ask a question if I need to. So it's just having that homely family environment, which is completely different to going to a commercial gym.
Let's talk about that, Ben, because obviously training by yourself is quite, for a lot of people, quite daunting, right? In essence, how would you say the best way to get over that is?
don't have the fear, because you shouldn't have the fear, because you know a coach is always going to be there. So have that in your mind. Build the confidence to start off training with a lower weight on the first set, and then increase the weights as you go, and build your confidence up. um, but again, it's just, if you feel that, then find a buddy and go and have a buddy in the gym, and you go at the same time, because that will help. And gradually then you'll find your own. I mean, even now, I think I talk to a lot of people when I come to the gym, just make sure that they're comfortable, or I'm comfortable that way. It's probably part of my way of making sure everybody's there and comfortable, because I want to be comfortable as well. But I think it's having that connect, that you're all in it together, and make it work for yourself. But yeah, and also, just put your head space into that zone that you are training now. Question into it. Oh, I need to lose weight, so if I do this, then I'll lose more weight. Just do it for your mental peace as well, and you will see the difference. It just flows in quite well.
Nice. Because obviously, Vimal, obviously where you are now, you've helped a lot of people through their journeys as well, right, with food. So guys, if you need any help on MyFitnessPal, just ask Vimal, right? Just go to Vimal. Don't come to me. Go to Vimal.
Always welcome. Always welcome.
Vimal talk you through how to add recipes and all that jazz. That's Vimal's specialty after 10 years of using it.
Not using it anymore though, but I still can.
Vimal, you still have more expertise on it than me. Vimal, what keeps you motivated and drive? What is that now? Is it just that you want to live long? What is it now? What is it for you now?
It's not about living long. I think it's just, as you've mentioned, I'm on my own, right? So I have to have my own company, and I'm very happy within myself. It's a very good place to be. But I think for me, it's just become part of my routine, part of my life. I do miss it. If I don't come to the gym, or I don't do a workout, you do miss it. Some people might sound funny, but I do miss having not trained. Um, so yeah, that's one factor that keeps me going, and want to make sure I continue. And also, because I've seen the change in myself, and I can appreciate that change, and I feel, when I look at my old photos, I actually look ill. I actually look very ill, I think, and I don't have a problem saying it. I may look ill sometimes now, but genuinely at that time, my eyes, the
You look like
darkening,
you look like the Nutty Professor, right? The Nutty Professor.
that's what you think.
Guys, no
That
one's
was one
watched.
of the photos, right?
If anyone's
Remember?
not watched the Nutty Professor, right? Who's the actor in that? I thought it is.
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. If you've not watched that, guy, pull the picture up. Trust me, that's Vimal.
That's how big I was, right? Not quite that big, but I was big, yes. But seeing that journey within myself, and coming over a lot of traumas, coming over a lot of battles in life, I just feel I need to make sure. Why shouldn't I do this? It's a good thing. It's nothing wrong. Rather than spending money on, I don't drink. I never have drunk alcohol. So rather than spending, or I don't smoke. Rather than spending money on that, I'd rather invest in this, and make it better for me.
It's interesting you said that though, Vimal, isn't it? Because obviously the association between what we spend, etc. But you actually a lot of people who do smoke or who do drink or have hobbies, for example. The interesting thing is, like, I don't drink, for example. If I do drink, it's one every now and again, but it's relatively. I don't go clothes shopping. It's not really a specialty of mine. It's not something I really enjoy doing. But it then gives you opportunity to do other things, right? Or have bit like you said, like for example, if you drank or smoked, for example, the chances are you won't be able to afford the studio based on the fact that behavior might manifest, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, you just choosing what's more valuable to you, right? In essence, really.
That's right. It's just bringing the value in yourself. I think it's adding value. What is it doing to you? If it's adding value, why not? For me, this is adding value to my life, and giving me peace, mental peace, emotional peace. So why not?
Don't you worry, Vin. I'll train you, and then I'll break that that mental piece.
You can. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am. So Vimal, here's another question for you. What's the one piece of advice you'd give a new member?
Put your, as I said before, I think, come into the studio, have faith. Don't question too many things. Go with the flow, and put all the faith in the coach. Hand yourself over to the coach, and let them do what they need to do with you, and you'll see the journey.
Nice. Right. Okay, Vimal, here's the one. Proudest moment since joining UFIT?
Proudest moment, obviously the transformation. Winning awards at my workplace. I had won twice um, Rep of the Year awards. Winning an award at the new job within 1 year, becoming a top 4 contender in the sales. So there are so many proud moments, and the other proud moment is I actually, found myself again.
Here's one.
I
Self.
was
So if you
lost.
didn't have your if you didn't use your body as a vehicle to work on yourself, do you think you, if you said, if you, do you think you would have come? Because remember, where did you come in one job? You came what? Top rep? What was it? Top three? What was it in the world? What? How
No,
was
no.
it?
I mean, I forgot to mention that I've also I've been top rep of the world global environment as well, where we are top 3 reps for choosing from each country. So I was one of those as well. I've done that twice now since I've been at UFIT. I won rep of the year at my previous company twice since I've been at UFIT, and then with this new job, I've had a top 4 award as well.
Wow. So obviously, actually, like going back to all your journey, really using your body as a vehicle is developed your mental fortitude, but confidence as well, and that's actually sprung you into actually performing at work more, right? Because remember, you're
Yeah,
very. The thing is, you're very. Well, people don't really know it. You probably see it in your transformation, but you're very dedicated. When you have a role or something to do, you're very dedicated to do it, right? Whether it's
yeah.
work, whether it's your physical health, you're very dedicated. You always put your 100% effort into it. Is that something that's would that ingrain? Did that just start to change as you changed, or has that always been a part of you to some degree?
That has always been a part of me to some degree because it's the values my dad had taught into. My dad was very much on punctuality, timekeeping, silence is golden, honesty is the best policy. So he was very much, dedicate yourself to your job. So that was his values that both my parents had instilled in me. But because of the trauma that came into, the confidence levels were slightly, they'd gone down. That's why I said from the beginning, my workplace never said anything. They were very happy with me, but I wanted to be like ahead of the game. But I think where I saw the difference was the confidence levels did enhance because you started loving yourself more. You appreciate yourself when the body changes, and that enhances your just performance to another level.
I think that's very hard for a lot of people, isn't it? Loving yourself.
Yeah,
And
I
accepting like where you are and where you're up to. Like, remember, a lot of people always, don't get me wrong. There's an element, because the thing is, for example, Vimo, obviously we're not really relatively striving for anything, really, are we? We're not really striving to like, Vimo, let's get lean again, or Vimo, let's do this
no,
again. In essence, a lot of our conversations are not really about that, really, are they? Now they're more about just life. They're more about happiness. They're more about fulfillment. They're more about what brings that. What's Vimal at 55 going to look like? What's Vimal when he's retired look like? It's more conversations around actually life in general now,
yeah,
because in essence you've probably got your health nailed.
yeah.
Right?
I mean,
That's a good thing though, isn't it? Because
yeah.
it doesn't occupy your mind though, does it?
No, I don't have a six pack, and I don't think I'll ever get a six pack. But that wasn't what it was. It was more about the transformation of just being lean and content with that. So it's that happiness that you have. But then it went into the, as we've said, it's gone into the mental space now and that mental balance journey, which is which was I thought there was a slight missing link there, and I think that's what's helped in the last few years, and it's kept me going even more. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, I train very heavy, I train hard, and I'll always give that 100%. But at the end of the day, I also love my food, and I'm a foodie, which I always admit. So I wanted that fine balance.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Obviously, I think everyone would agree. The picture I put up the other day with you, Vimal, you just look in great shape.
Yeah, that's a very recent photo, isn't it? As you know.
That's it. I thought I had to use a recent one, Vimal. I didn't want to use one a couple of years ago.
Good.
Another question for you, Vimal. I like this question because I've asked it on the last couple of podcasts because someone asked me it and it was quite a challenging one. What's the lowest point you've been and how did you recover?
My lowest point I've been was obviously in 2009, but there's so much things that happened to me by that time. Obviously, I've mentioned it. There's more there that really got to me. I hadn't, there's so much that had happened in my life where I was just like, God, what am I doing here? What's happening? I did have suicidal thoughts before that, so I had to come all over that, and I had to. Obviously, that's why I joined the commercial gym because I wanted to do something and just get out of the house and do an activity rather than do something naughty, whatever. So That was the lowest point, and obviously I found you, and I've always said that to you. I'm always indebted that I found yourselves and found you especially because you've been my coach from day one, and that has kept me alive to an extent, and sort of my hard work, your hard work, and we've accomplished it.
Good.
That's been the challenge. It has. I'm not saying it's not been challenging. Of course, it's been challenging in many ways. There have been other challenges that have come through, but I think having you fit as a backbone has supported those challenges and helped me overcome the challenges as well, of
Nice.
fear, confidence, low esteem, etc.
Right. I've got another one for you. What's been your hardest point where you've had to push yourself to keep going? That's what Pujarano asked. So what's been your hardest point where you've probably hit a wall and you think, oh, you know what, I've got more to give, but you've obviously you can either say, oh, I can't bother, I'll back off, or you know what, I'll
Yeah.
push forward.
Yeah.
What's the hardest point where you've had to
So if,
push?
if I if I remember correctly, it was in my journey earlier on. There was 2 years. I mean, I trained with you for the first 2 years and everything was fine, but the next 2 years, I didn't lose any weight. We were going round and round and round and round. I could have easily, and there was a lot of things happening at that time where people were throwing accusations, people were walking off, and there was so much happening at that time. I could have easily gone off and just given up, but I didn't want to give up on you, and I didn't want you to give up on me. So, for me, it was like that. No, 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 no. I can still do this. We can do this. We can do this. Just have faith. Just have faith. And that was the harding point, and that was where I had to. We did the turnaround. You could see it in my face that I wasn't happy, and you weren't happy with yourself as well because we were not getting results. So we were trying to find out. That's when the fitness pal came in. That's when you said to me, I think you'll have to put the recipes in. You'll have to do this, otherwise it's not working what you're doing, which it wasn't working. We clearly knew it was working. We made another change at that time. We turned to coconut oil. A simple thing. We changed to coconut oil, and those started things. There was a combination of things that we did. Because you've always said my training was on par. It wasn't that I wasn't training hard, or it wasn't that I wasn't doing enough workouts. It was just the fourth side. It's
It's an interesting
nutrition.
thing, isn't it? I think it's interesting, like you said, like obviously initially you lost weight and then you got hit to that, obviously that barrier, right? Or roadblock where you
Yeah.
went down, went up, went down, went up. And that, like I said, I can imagine, I remember that 2 years, yeah, 2 years. But guys, remember that, imagine that 2 years of losing weight initially and then staying the same. And then that mental battle you have with yourself, like, is it worth it? Should I keep going? Should I not? Right. But obviously, if you look at now, perseverance, it's like anything in life, guys. It's just always something to remember. When it's something that's in life, it's hard. It's actually instead of going to it and then regressing, it's actually either going through it, either over it, or going around it. Right. Ultimately, you got to go. You got to carry on. And a bit like Vimal's been there for 2 years to continue, and then obviously 2 years, boom. After that, then he's got a result. Right. Remember, something clicks, and sometimes it's the way maybe we explained it. Sometimes maybe interpretation on Vimal's side. Remember, there's so many variables when it comes to coaching people or understandings, and obviously understanding where your own level is at. Sometimes it's not as simple as in calories in versus calories out. Sometimes it's not as simple as saying your food's on point. Because the thing is, for example, I could say to a lot of people, "Oh, show me your food," but you can't show me because you don't track it, right? But also you got to appreciate the ownership that Vimal took on this journey, and also the ownership I took on my journey, right? Both of us, in essence, grew together. Like I said to you
Yeah.
before, the Vimal started journey. I was just starting out as a PT. Thing to understand as well. So therefore, 10 years in the making, Vim, right? 10 years in the
Yeah,
making.
and one thing we haven't touched on is the amount of supplements that I had to take to
Oh,
enhance my metabolism. Glutamine was part of my life for good seven years. I think it's only last 2 3 years I've stopped taking glutamine, but that was a big part of my
yeah, bloatedness,
morning
right? We have
evening
bloatedness,
bloatiness, the amount
digestive
of
issues.
probiotics. I still, yeah, this all the supplements that I had to take through to fight that because of my own health, gut health. But if I didn't have faith in you, because you were recommending me, I could have said, no, this is too expensive, I'm not taking it. And that's what I'm saying, it's having that faith and seeing it work for yourself. But I have taken a lot of supplements, and I still do take supplements, but it's it's part of your
But I
life.
think you have to, though, right? Let's be honest. Yeah,
Anybody,
you
yeah,
remember the thing is what people forget. If you're your diet, you're probably what a pinnacle of a vegetarian, right? But at the same time, being a vegetarian, you're still deficient in certain areas. It's just nature of the beast.
absolutely,
If you're going to
yeah,
optimize your health, you just have to optimize it. Now you can always go one step further and get blood tests and so forth, so forth. But for example, you're just supplementing a lifestyle now based on what you feel you need. Because obviously, I remember like your supplement list could be nearly 8 or 9 supplements. Now it's like probably 3 or 4, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Just like mine is. But yeah, again, it's going through that, right? Like I was saying to you, you never said no, right? You always like, yep, okay, let's go through it. Okay, yep. And that's where we had honesty in the relationship. I think it's important as well, guys. When you're on a journey with a coach, any coach, whether it's with us or with someone else, it's about being honest. It's about being open, telling someone how you truly feel about something, and going, actually, no, that don't feel right, or this feels this. Because ultimately, you're both coaching, you're both helping each other. But there's no point me saying to someone, Vimal, do this, and then Vimal don't want to do it. Luckily, Vimal did majority of it, but we did have conversations about, actually, Sam, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Like, you're telling me to eat meat. I said no.
Vimal, transfer to eating meat, mate. You got to eggs. Let's move on to chicken.
No, there was one other thing that you made me do, and I think that was very good. And I think it's a learning point for others as well. It's just getting everything out, whatever inner traumatic things you have, inner traumatic journeys. Just be open. There was a phase where you actually made me write things, because you were feeling that there was something I'm not sharing, something I'll share. So you sent me some questions on an email, and you wanted me to answer them. This was way back. This was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, remember them?
Yeah, and I vomited a lot on those, as in literally threw everything out on that paper because I was writing, I wasn't talking to you. And then we had a one-to-one about it, and then we carried on. So there was a lot of mental things
That's the
that came
interesting
out
part,
there.
isn't it, Vimal? Because
Yeah,
obviously sometimes when you're sitting in a one-to-one or sitting in a session, you can ask questions, and a lot of people can probably relate to this. You can ask questions and you feel like you're giving the answers, but you're not, right? Because you can't think enough, or you've been put on the spot and you're giving an answer, but you may be giving an answer what you feel the coach needs to know, or you're only giving part answer. Guys, I remember the questions quite clearly to Vimal. Because remember, guys, when you're in a journey of transformation, 10 years as well, it's not all fat loss. It's not all like this, and this. It's actually accumulation of things, accumulation of a headspace. Vimal working on his deepest thoughts. Vimal working on his past beliefs. Vimal working on struggles that have held him back. Sometimes I had a conversation with someone recently, and they said to me, Sam, I've actually come to realize I fear success. Right, and that's a big thing. But guess what? They've got to work on that now. And so Vimal's done a lot of that as well. So the thing is, this journey, how we're sharing your journey, Vimal, over 10 years, obviously we only go into certain contexts of it, right? But actually, the reality, guys, just probably the biggest thing to understand, there's a lot of deep work that you have to do in order to make it a lifestyle. That's probably the
yeah,
easiest way to explain it.
exactly. And I think it's just not give up. Don't give up. Just keep persisting. I think persistence pays off. That's my motto. Persistence pays off, and have patience within yourself, and have faith in yourself and in your coach, and you'll get there. And
Yeah, buddy.
yeah,
Right, guys, does anyone have any questions for Vimal? If you have any questions, then ask. I'll give you literally 30 seconds to ask a question. And then if not, then me and Vimal can say au revoir and
au revoir.
peace out, and I'll be back.
You'll be back.
I'll be back next week then. We'll have an interview next week. Actually, I don't know if I'll have an interview. I've actually got someone booked in next week, but I might have to change it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
What are you doing today, Vim?
I'm relaxing today. Well, my sister's coming over from London. We're having a family week, so my niece is here staying with me, and yeah,
Nice.
so it's been good. Having another week off work, and then back to work on the 24th.
Best come round Vimal's house then, I think. Barbecue at Vimal's.
Go on then. Wish the weather was right for a barbecue, but you're
That's it.
welcome.
That's it. Come round some egg curry with Vimal, something like that. No tried one, but yeah.
Yeah, egg curry doesn't get made in this house anymore. It used to. Everything's stopped now, but I can make something else for you.
That's it. Right. Vimal, everyone's just saying a great interview and they love listening to it. So yeah, I think it's
Thank
for
you.
me and you. It's peace out, and guess what, Vim? Here's to another 10 years.
Sure, mate. Look after
Boom.
yourself. Peace out. Take care. Bye.
Laters.
See you then. Bye.